Ain't it a great day? Ain't it a great day? Ain't it a great day? Ain't it a great day?
Hello everyone, my name is Dean. Let's talk crypto. This is where you subscribe for daily Bitcoin updates and technical analysis. We track the price of Bitcoin as a proxy for the cryptocurrency markets at large. Today is June 25th, 2025. And what is Bitcoin doing? Is it breaking out or is it not? We're going to look into that. What's Bitcoin's next move with a high degree of probability? Is it up or down? If it's down, where to? If it's up, where to? This is what we're going to look at. We're also going to look at what altcoins are likely to do as a result. If that all sounds interesting to you, then watch until the very end. Hope everyone's having a great day. Let's get into it. Bitcoin on the 4-hourly time frame. All right. With a very high degree of probability, Bitcoin is going down in the immediate short term. Why am I saying that? Very simply, and I love simple analysis, because it's at resistance right now. And you do not break resistance from resistance. You reject off resistance and break below and then break resistance. So I'm going to articulate myself using the charts. So let's sort of put this channel that I'm looking at in so you can really see what I'm seeing. All right, I'm seeing Bitcoin as being in a month-long channel. All right, I'm looking at this. I'm going to change the color in a second because there's a bit too much red here. This is what I'm seeing. This is what Bitcoin's been doing for the past month, I believe, right? Let's do something like this. Yeah, perfect. Let's see. Ever since June 5th, what are we now? The 25th. Okay, 20 days. Close enough. Right. For 20 days, Bitcoin has been in this pattern. And this pattern is a channel. What does that mean? It basically has a very clear, well-defined support, resistance, midline. Okay, so this makes it simple insofar as I can say with a high degree of probability, based off of my experience, based off of the theory, right? This is likely to happen, right? Channels don't break from the top. They don't break from the bottom. They break from the middle. I.e., or ergo, or as a result, I need this to either come down here, find support, then break up to our target of 118, or continue this channel. There's only two viable options. And again, when we talk, when we're talking technical analysis, it's all probabilistic. Nobody knows what's going to happen 100%. If we did, we'd all be Brazilianaires, or some of us would be Brazilianaires, and we'd be able to replicate it over and over and over again. I get on here to talk to you about probabilities, and based off of my experience, based off of my understanding of chart patterns, what's likely to happen. So this is what's likely to happen. You're going to reject at resistance. This is 20-day resistance. It's not the longest resistance in the world, but it's resistance nonetheless, right? You can even say it's, let's see. Can we take it down here? Yeah, let's do this. I mean, this is right? Isn't that viable? Can I get a I mean, did I make that up? No, that's viable, right? That's a resistance level. And now, instead of a 20-day resistance level, we're looking at a month-long 35-day resistance level. So you're at resistance, and every single time that you've hit this resistance, this is going to be the fourth time, you've rejected. Again, you don't break resistance from that point, right? If you're going to break it, you would have broken it. You don't dilly-dally at resistance. What you do is you break down again to the midline, or you repeat the pattern. And the pattern is quite simple. Here's the pattern. Boom, boom, boom. Right? So either expect another move all the way back down to support around 100K, or sorry, what would it be? It'd be a bit lower, like 97K or something like that. Or if we're likely to break resistance, you come down to the midline, find support, and then break this channel. And I think, based off of our previous analysis, and based off of what altcoins are doing, based off of where Bitcoin dominance is at, this is more likely than this. Okay? I think this is less likely. So I would put more stock into that probability playing out. Bitcoin coming down to about 102, 103, finding support, doing some sort of retest of support, and then going up. The other reason I think this is a more likely viable read on Bitcoin's price action in the immediate short term is the following. Here I have, let's see. Yeah. Okay, yeah. It's based off of where Bitcoin dominance is at and what the altcoins are doing. I think the altcoins are 2 moves away, or 1.5 moves away. We'll get to the altcoins in a second. So basically what I'm saying is this. If you look at any reversal, right, you want to put in 3 pairs of corrections. So 3 corrective patterns, 2 AB bases and a pivot, as Ralph Nelson Elliott puts it, or as I put it, based off of Ralph Nelson Elliott's 2 AB base theory. I've said it so much I'm like attributing to him, but honestly, I've gone in and that's what I sussed out: 2 AB bases and a pivot. He just calls it AB base theory. All right, so you go, that's 1. I think this is going to be 2, and then 3, like that. Do you see? So we're looking at a reversal taking place, and that reversal is a reversal of this local downtrend. And again, it's going to be this zigzag, another zigzag, and probably a flat correction retesting this midline, and then our move. And then here's why I like it. Remember, we got look at that. So if that does indeed play out, you're going to get an inverse head and shoulders bullish reversal pattern. And that bullish reversal pattern is going to have the target, as usual, of the height of the height of the head from the neckline, superimposed from the side of breakout, giving you our target of 118. How did I get 118 before? Completely unrelated. This is what we call confluence. Okay? There are 2 disparate, unrelated factors that drove you to a similar conclusion. That makes that conclusion more likely than not. Why did I keep saying, I think Bitcoin's going to 118? I think Bitcoin's going to 118. Well, it was simply based off of the Fibonacci. Based off of my understanding of how Bitcoin operates at extremes. Even at bearish extremes. So like extreme tops that this is, right? We're at a 200 plus day distribution, right? If you zoom out, you see this whole thing has been going on for 200 plus days. Nonetheless, people are still super excited to buy. Sorry, let me just show that real quick. Yeah, 200 plus days. People are still super excited to buy because people don't really understand what distributions are, and they don't really read price action. All people see is Bitcoin's above 100K. It's been above 100K. It's held above 100K for a long enough period of time, i.e., for them, that's extremely bullish. And so they're expecting continuation. And you can only read a reversal if you know anything about price action, and you know, and you've studied reversals and the anatomy of reversals and what constitutes a reversal and how reversals are set up. They take time, right? Not everybody's doing that. A lot of people are just pressing the buy button based off of the belief that it's a fundamentally sound asset that is going to go up and to the right pretty much indefinitely based off of the halving and the non-inflationary nature of the asset. So they're not really looking into all of this like we are, right? That being said, I always feel like anytime I'm looking at a Bitcoin top, if we're going to get any kind of move, it may that even approaches all-time high, you're going to you're going to have a violent one. Also, I remember saying in the previous episode, I'm not going to repeat myself too much, but you're looking at what we call a blow off top. People say this and they don't really understand what they're saying, but blow off top is basically the last ditch effort for price to find buyers, so suckers, and reverse. Okay? A blow off top is essentially price looking for last minute buyers way overpriced in way overpriced regions and then reversing on them. So it's a liquidity grab, okay? That liquidity grab tends to happen right before major reversals, okay? It happens also on the way down in accumulation. So you'll see a lot of times right before an asset, takes off and it's been accumulating for a long time, it'll do that liquidity grab to the downside. We call that a spring in Wyckoff accumulation. And the upside one is a UTAD, I believe. I said spring in the previous video, but that's technically inaccurate. The analog to the accumulation spring, right? So like, let's say, you were doing an accumulation and then you do a move and then you finally break. That's a spring in accumulation. And in a distribution, it's the opposite, and it's called a UTAD. Up thrust after distribution, I believe it's called. In any case, that I said was going to 118 more likely than not, because based off of my calculations of the Fibonacci, the maximum distance that the B wave could travel and still be a B wave was 119. And that was based off of the size of this A wave. And I'm basically just using, proportionality based off of these corrective patterns, right? And that's, Elliott wave analysis. The B wave cannot travel beyond the 1618 Fibonacci extension, which is the phi ratio of the A wave. So that being said, given that the phi ratio is at 119.464, experientially, in my experience, tracking these things, watching charts and tracking price action on a small time frame, I've always seen a strong approach of the phi ratio in these circumstances, but not a break of it. So I was like, 118 is a good estimate. It's a good guesstimate as to what the target should be. And now I have confluence, I have a confirmation of that based off of this likely path that Bitcoin's going to take, coming down here and finding support around 101, 102, or whatever the midline is here, depending on when it does it, then pop up to 118. So that's what I'm seeing in Bitcoin. I'm simply seeing a move down, a move up, and a move down. A move down, a little bit of a move down back to this midline, then a small move up and a small move down, basically forming the last corrective pattern or pivot for the reversal up. Okay, that's Bitcoin. And similarly, when you look at altcoins, you can see very, very similar price action. And I've pointed it out here, or I've tracked it using this dotted path. So altcoins are right where we want them, right exactly where we want them. They're doing exactly what we thought they should do. So just a quick recap. The reversal is established, right? This was the local downtrend. It was broken, retested, popped up and out. Very important that this previous resistance, right? This was the resistance that the altcoins, and by the way, for everybody who's wondering, who doesn't know, I'm looking at the total 3. So the total 3 is all altcoins minus Ethereum. So everything in crypto minus Bitcoin minus Ethereum, which is a relatively good and comprehensive representation of altcoins in the space. So this was your previous high. You tried to break it, you tried to break it, you tried to break it, you failed. You came down here. Now, you made an effort, you broke the downtrend that took you here. Secondly, you want to regain this high. So having played at this high is your second strong indication that you're breaking the trend, or you're about to break the trend, or you intend to break the trend. There's a method to trend breaking. There's a method to reversing trends. You don't just do it willy-nilly and out of nowhere just make higher highs and higher lows. Price systematically does this. It shows strength. This is the first show of strength. This is the second show of strength, attacking the previous problem area where there was too much resistance, i.e. the sellers were too strong. Now we revisited that nightmare location, and what you should expect now, similar to what you see in Bitcoin, is a move down, retesting this top. I don't think you're breaking this, right? Obviously, in some assets, this is a representative, it's a syncretic indication of what the altcoins are doing, right? It's not going to immediately or perfectly reflect all the altcoins in the space. But generally speaking, what you should expect is, because this already happened, this is now your previous point of your previous break. You broke this resistance. Now this needs to be flipped as support. And I think that's going to be flipped as support doubly. So as Bitcoin comes down to its midline, I expect altcoins, let me clean this up here, to do something like this, right? Come down here, retest this level that we just discussed, right here. And then, because it's the only one, what I'm expecting is, right, another retest. So you tend to see these compound retests when you're dealing with inverse head and shoulders, okay? And again, I'm pulling off of my experience, but here's your inverse head and shoulders. You broke out, you hit the target. That target was, again, the height of the head superimposed from the site of breakout, or the neckline. That's your target. You're at your target. Now you retest that neckline, okay? Here or here, whatever. And that retest, you typically see these inverse head and shoulders retests happen in a compound retest. And that I like, because what does it do? Again, count 2 degrees of AB basing in a pivot, or 3 pairs of corrective patterns. Here's your first. Here's your second, 2 zigzags. Here's your third, flat. And in my experience, I tend to see zigzag, zigzag, flat. That's the pattern. If I had to say, what's the most common pattern you've seen in a reversal that incorporated that 3 pairs of AB bases, or 2 degrees of AB basing and a pivot, it tends to be zigzag, zigzag, flat. Again, you may see 3 flats or 3 zigzags depending on the asset, but generally speaking, I've seen zigzag, zigzag, flat in a lot of different reversals. So I think this is the level at which altcoins reverse into alt season. I think that is the official start of alt season right there. But we're very close. As you can see, we're 1.5 moves away, because you've put in this first move. That's the second move. You're halfway done with the second move. And the last move is simply going to be something like this. So very encouraging for altcoins, right where we want them, as I said. Very encouraging for Bitcoin. The total threes, doing what it's doing. It's not, or sorry, did I say total three? Bitcoin dominance. It's come down, right? It's come down to where we thought it would. The first level of support, or temporary support. That level I have as a solid line here. And it was essentially the level that you set from all of this accumulation, right? The resistance of 30 days now is going to be support when you're above it. Okay, so we're above it, and so it's going to be temporary support. So that's all you're seeing here. So I think we just bounce off of this a bit until we eventually break it. And I think that break is going to be the start of alt season, my best guess. Because until then, you're not really doing anything. Bitcoin and altcoins don't really decouple much, because they're both kind of, they're both still consolidating, right? But then when this breaks, I think that's the beginning of alt season. That's my take on what's happening now on the small time frames. Guys, hope this was helpful. Hope this was useful. Like, share, and subscribe if you got value. Consider tipping me. Venmo, Litecoin, Cash App, all at the pinned comment below. And if you are interested in personal services with me, do consider my crypto portfolio mentorship and consultation service that you can sign up to at the pinned comment below, right? There's a link for that, and it's up to 2 hours with me every month, and we go over up to 5 altcoins, and I help you choose altcoins that are likely to get sustained gains in the bull market, and I help you maximize your portfolio by identifying likely targets of resistance and support, so that you can keep snowballing profits. So that's it for me. Take care. Bye.
I vocalize, too deep to localize, even when I'm right on the surface. You act surprised how I work this, but I can't lie. Many a good alibi. I'll catch you later. Visions are vividly enhanced with emphasis and amethyst to develop morale advantages which help us manifest. Magnanimous, we body vitals like evangelists. So listen when you're dealing with people who be revealing premonitions with precision. At least that's what I'm aiming at for now. I speak the language of the world, meandering throughout the crowd. Used to feel safe to say anything, but now it's a risk. It's hard for me to let go when all I can do is reminisce. Gone like the wind, here's where I begin. Should I smile or should I grin what's happening? Gone like the wind.